guys, how are we doing today? I hope everyone is currently safe and practicing all the necessary actions to be safe and not, get the coronavirus and stuff. I understand this is a really hard time, and I feel for you on that. And today's video is to really talk about panic and anxiety and what's going on with the coronavirus happening in this world. I am in full awareness that there's so many different perspectives on this idea. In fact, this whole video was inspired by a conversation I had with a friend. And, we had similar viewpoints on certain things, but we also started to kind of clash and have different viewpoints. And it was kind of like a debate where it stuck to me, and the more and more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, I feel like this is a message that I feel like everyone should know. And you could say that fueled the whole exigence to create this video. So I guess now to kind of just begin where I'm coming at, anxiety, right? I wanted to describe it. And basically, I don't really trust myself. I really do respect, this topic. And I feel like it's so important that I just want to kind of just I wrote down my own definition based on a couple of research and website search finding on Google, and wanted to basically share to you guys the definition of anxiety. So with that being said, I'm gonna look down at my paper and what I wrote. I just basically defined anxiety as the excessive nervousness, fear, apprehension, or worry that is often characterized to interfere in one's daily life. Being a person who undergoes anxiety is difficult. One can put things out of proportion on something that they are anxious about. They aren't able to push away those thoughts easily. In fact, it is that manifestation of those thoughts that can result in restlessness. It can lead to excess stress, paranoia, and panic. And with that in mind, now let's talk about that. So I was reflecting about anxiety and that definition because I felt like I needed to kind of take a step back and understand that before I wanted to further explore my own viewpoints on this. And something that I was thinking about is like, what could be one of the causes of anxiety? And I think one huge cause out of many causes is kind of like the fear of having no control over something. And I feel like the coronavirus, now that we're applying it back to the coronavirus, is like one of those situations where it's hard to control. And I'm not saying that, we can't do anything. Obviously, we're not victims to the situation. We're warriors. We can push through this. We can, really do our best to help make a safe community for everyone around us. So no, I'm not saying we're victims to the situation. But I also do think that, the coronavirus itself, like the virus itself, we can't tell that virus to not spread. You know what I mean? And we have no idea of what the future entails. And so with that being said, I feel like that's where this whole panic is coming from. The fear of the unknown, the fear of having no control over the situation. Like, you can do things to prevent yourself and others from getting sick, but you have no idea of what the future entails. There's so much uncertainty in this situation that can really bring out anxiety. With that being said, I wish that people could be compassionate at a time like this. And this is where I truly come from, is when I look at these people who are panicking, what really, really breaks my heart through this whole situation is just, I don't know, it's like when I look at people who are going through anxiety, I completely understand that it comes from a place of confusion and fear. It comes from a place of, like panicking, especially like that reaction in and of itself is like one of the most primal reactions to a situation. And that in and of itself just shows that they don't really have enough education to understand anxiety to its fullest, like understand their emotions to the fullest in ways that they can regulate it. They don't have the resources or the resources or the education about the topic. I also think that this is a representation of kind of understanding that these people are suffering a lot mentally. Like, they're suffering a lot mentally from the situation, and it's really difficult for everyone already. And just to have that icing on the layer, with anxiety, fun. We totally love that. I don't know, I just see as someone who's just really, really having a hard time right now and who's really stuck in their mind. And I feel like if you really do understand anxiety, you really know that in and of itself, like, it doesn't matter like what you're thinking at the moment. It's like you somehow in your own mind, you make something that is absolutely illogical and make it logical. Like, it makes sense in your brain and you realize that. And it's just, it's hard to get out of that mindset, especially when you've kind of dug that hole and went deeper into the rabbit's hole. And given that in mind, I wish that we can humanize these people who are going through this experience and, instead of judging them online, be able to give them that compassion and the warmth that they need. Because all I could be thinking about is people who are trying to seek validation and comfort through this really difficult time with their anxiety to kind of come with responses of criticism. I'm not here to go out and be like, well, everybody, who is undergoing anxiety right now is completely justified in their impulsive actions. No, I understand that there are, when you panic, sometimes you aren't able to think in the most logical and objective standpoint. I don't know, like some people buy 30 to 40 years worth of toilet paper and, maybe leaving a couple of that for other people who actually need that, families who need that. So no, I'm not here to justify, the actions that people do when they panic, but people need to understand where these people come from, because there's no, like, you can't change someone from feeling anxious by telling them that they're just being dramatic or foolish. It's a real struggle that people have. These are real experiences and emotions that people are going through right now, and we have to all be aware that this is so new. With that being said, I guess my final verdict in all of the situation is just saying that, this coronavirus and the way that's, in media, people are responding to people who are panicking is a kind of a depiction of the mental stigma that's happening. Like, when I reflect about it, I really do think about, we've come far ways from history. If you guys ever study mental health history, yeah, we've gone through far ways, and I know that we're becoming more fluid with our emotions and we're able to talk about it more, and there are a lot of resources and helplines that offer support. So no, I'm not saying that we're going nowhere, but I also think that there still needs to be a lot of change. And I sometimes feel like the biggest elephant in the room of the stigma that we're still kind of not addressing at all is the judgment that we have for others who have quote unquote adverse reactions. We're so quick to judge. We're so quick to judge for people who, we're just like, okay, why are they doing that? They're so weird. Like, take it for the coronavirus example. Like, why are people buying 30 to 40 years worth of toilet paper? Like, they're so weird. Or like being hella judgmental and criticize them. And obviously I feel like, there comes that constructive element to those people being like, yo, you need to help other people. But I feel like we need to really understand where it comes from. In this video, I've basically covered some really like heavier talks, and I know that, as humans, we can be clouded with prejudice, and I understand that. And this video is, doesn't come off in the most negative note, because I understand that a lot of you guys might be like right now thinking, okay, Christine, like, yeah, you said all of that. Maybe I agree, maybe I don't, but what's gonna happen? Like, if you're gonna say all these things, where's the actions? And I guess for me, let's start with the bigger picture on just the mental stigma in general. I think that we all, as humans, including me, like, I'm gonna flat out admit it in camera that there are times where I can judge someone. Yeah. And I can judge someone based on the surface level things. And it's hard to admit that, especially to yourself, because, that makes your ego go down. This is something that's not something I should be proud of. But I think it comes with a level of acceptance and forgiveness in yourself. And after being able to reflect and forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made, for you to be accountable, to catch yourself. It's never going to be perfect. This video, and if it ever moved you in any way, is not, you're not going to be like, oh, everything is all good. I'm liberated and free, all of that stuff. Like, no, it's not realistic. I'm not expecting people to just boom, change overnight. But I think that when we begin to judge people, we can kind of take a step back and be like, okay, well, let's first look at why they're doing that and what could be the possible factors that they're going through that. And I feel like that can build so much more compassion. And another thing I think that is really, really important for us to do at a time like this is actually to spread, instead of responding with more hate, because that's never going to go anywhere. I think we should start responding with actually citing credible sources, because I feel like some of these people who are anxious might be reading some false information. There's a lot of false information out there, and maybe kind of being the forebearer by, linking the CDC or the WHO, like stuff like that, or kind of pushing them onward and kind of giving them, like, drawing them back into a more loving and compassionate and just, all around a more objective and calming standpoint. Not only are you being educational, but you're actually helping these people who see logic in an illogical concept to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, I'm gonna start to kind of see your point. And by responding in a more, in a manner that's more confrontational, it not only allows the person who's feeling anxious to kind of, let down their barrier, but also be able to really spark more positive and needed dialogue about this, like more education about this topic, more conversation about mental health. And I think through these two steps, it can really propel and can have a huge impact towards, the future. Oh, I talked a lot and I'm so sorry. I'm actually kind of tired. So I think I'm going to be signing off now, but I hope you guys really like this video. Please comment down below. I would love to actually hear your guys' perspective on this issue. And I really hope that we all can kind of be positive about this issue. And I hope that if I was able to kind of help you guys understand anxiety and where it comes from, that it can be a great, that can be a source. Like, share it, like it, do whatever you guys can. If you guys have any anxious friends who are going through the situation, like, I think that this video is applicable to both people who are not as anxious and for people as anxious, to kind of understand their emotions and the perspective that is going through media. And yeah, I hope everyone has a wonderful day and stay safe. Okay, signing off.